Hello and welcome back to the Go For Two podcast. I'm Liam, your host. As always, I'm joined by my Super Bowl champion colleague, unfortunately for me, Patrick. How are you doing? What are we? You must be 4 weeks away from you'll be in America, right? 4 weeks?
4 weeks. I go in 4 weeks, and the game is 4 weeks tomorrow. So that is very exciting.
Nice.
To raise the banner in front of Jerry Jones. He's even treating me to some Cowboys drama, isn't he? So it's can't complain.
I was say, will you not see Micah Parsons in 4 weeks? We'll find out.
I think so. Yeah.
It'd be very Jerry just to pay him the day before the season. It'd be very, very Jerry. The people want to know, have you decided on your extra trip when you're there? You know, you put on Twitter that you had like 5 or 6 different options. Have you made a call what game you're going to go to?
Have I decided? No. Every single day I'm like, at night time, like my wind down thing is, what shall I do? I can't decide. Penn State is out though. It's too far.
Okay. How far is it?
It's about 6-hour drive, which I don't mind. Okay. But the game sucks. So Penn State are favoured by around 50. So it's not a game that for me that's going to get me a 12-hour round trip, to be honest. So I'm likely to go and see Navy football, I think, is what I really want. Yeah.
The wing tee. See some running.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Old school. I like it. It. And then we're deciding, are we gonna get a WNBA game when we go? We'll find out. We're hoping for Kate and Clark. That's the goal, but we'll see.
Yes.
Cool. Next division today on our preview, our preseason preview. So we're on to the NFC West. I think I pick the same winner of this division every year, so we'll see if I do the same again in this one. We'll do the usual format, talking about the key additions, strength of schedule, win total, coaching changes, and then we'll rank the teams, how many playoff teams, and do their win totals as well. First question though, quickly, have you finished Quarterback yet on Netflix? Because I know you were a bit underwhelmed. I am on the last episode, and I actually think it's been quite good and much better than Receiver is my verdict.
Yeah, better than Receiver. I've not finished it because I don't know if it's not getting finished now either, because I don't know if you know that as college football, I am watching that. I am not watching Quarterback anymore.
What is the concept of that series though?
Sorry?
What's the concept of that series though? Is it following certain teams around, or
it's following the whole SEC from last season? So you kind of get not just about Alabama, Georgia, or whatever. You get Vanderbilt in there and all throughout those teams. I watched the first episode. Very good. So it's, let's check that out, definitely.
How many episodes? Are we talking 6, 10, 12?
I think there's 6, to be honest with you. But 6 episodes for me will take me 2 weeks to watch because I'm not a massive TV watcher. So that's going to take me a while.
I was going to say under over of how many weeks it takes you to watch 6 episodes.
It'll be a while, yeah.
3.5 weeks. I'd go maybe go the under because you'll be excited the week before you go. But worst case, you can download it for the plane, right? That's your
exactly, yeah.
Cool. Well, we won't make anyone more jealous of your trip to watch the Eagles raise a banner. We'll get on to the NFC West. So we're going to talk about the teams in the same order they finished the season, which is Rams won the division. Seahawks were a close second. I think they actually fought it out for the title second last week, maybe. Cardinals finished third, which I completely forgot. And then the 49ers had a season from hell, Super Bowl hangover season, and finished fourth in their division. So we'll start with the Rams. Devontae Adams and Terrence Ferguson are the key additions on their offense. Poona Ford is the key addition on defense up the middle. And then the rest of their signings are really depth. They've got a lot of draft picks this year that are slated to be their third linebacker, their fourth safety, their backup right guard, backup left guard. So there's a lot of depth from them. There's some minor changes on this coaching staff, but nothing in terms of play caller. Obviously, the head coach is still the main man. So this team's going to be very similar. The DC is the same as well for the first year in a while in Shula. So things are staying the same there. Their win total is 9.5. so under double digits. And their strength of schedule, this is why, is because it's 20th in the NFL. So it's quite a hard strength of schedule. When you look in the middle portion, which maybe we'll talk about, there's some big games there for the Rams. So they have quite a difficult one. Usual format, mate. We're going to go reason to believe in them, reason to not believe in them. I'll pass to you. Do you want to go positive or negative to kick us off?
No, come on, let's start positive. I mean, I know this is your Super Bowl champion right here from the NFC. For me, continuation of last year is the home run that they hit right in 2024 in the draft. Jared Verse, absolutely incredible. I saw him live, and watching, when you watch someone live as opposed to TV, it feels like it scares you more when you watch it in real life. You ever been to watch kind of regular football and you see someone and you think, oh my God, he's going to definitely score today. Like Jared Verse was getting to hurt on feel like every drop back. I was like, that is a scary guy. You got Braden Fisk as well. And then you're adding Puna Ford to that. For me, with the subtractions that the Eagles have had on the defensive line, you could be looking at this being the best defensive line in the NFC because it's super strong, they're super young, and I just think this is the basis of how these will get to the Super Bowl, in my opinion, rather than the offense.
Yeah, it's probably bad timing for them for us to record with some news around Stafford's help. You're right. Defensive line is the one. Apart from the offense, like the offense when healthy is going to be great. That's just what McVay is. That was kind of my reason to believe in them, is when healthy. I think the offense will probably be the best in the NFC, or second or third best. But like we saw last year, they'd have games where they weren't healthy and things were a disaster and they'd have to win 13-10. So for me, I think when healthy, the offense is elite in the NFC. And then, my second point was exactly the same as yours. Defensive line is incredible. I think the Puna Ford signing as well, slightly underrated. Incredible last year for the Chargers. He's not really a household name, I wouldn't say. I didn't see many people talk about him on Twitter and stuff, but their problem was stopping the run last year. And they've got the man that's built to stop the run. And then that means those guys you mentioned can just rush off the edge and go kill quarterbacks. So I think it should be a good unit. So that's the reason for me to believe in them.
In the NFC, you have to be able to stop the run to get to the Super Bowl, right? There is no other way around that, getting through Philadelphia, Detroit, and also Washington, with the rushing threat that they've got. So for me, that is a huge addition. Like you said, it's not a household name, but team chemistry-wise and what you need to fill that gap, that is, for me, an incredible sign.
Yeah, because the Rams never spend money on linebacker. So if you don't spend money on linebacker, it's like you need someone to stop the run, and that's kind of what he is and who he's been throughout his NFL career. But I would say as well, the NFC North, which we'll do in a couple of weeks, and this division, NFC West, those teams are going to run it a lot as well. 49ers are going to run it. Vikings are going to run it. Seahawks are definitely going to run it. Cardinals, we'll see, what they do. But you need to stop the run. I think that's a good thing for them. We got to talk about it for 30 seconds because it's one of the coolest fits in free agency. Devontae Adams wearing the 17 in the Rams jersey. Nakua on the other side. I know we've got the worries around Stafford, but how cool is it going to be to see Devontae Adams in playing for this team, especially after having to watch him play with Rodgers last year, and it'd be a bit of a anticlimax, I would say. That's what we all wanted.
Yeah, what I think for me is obviously he signed for the Raiders, didn't he? And he's been through New York. Nice to see him now back relevant in a relevant team. All throughout his career in Green Bay, he was incredibly relevant, and you didn't have a top 3 wide receiver list without Devontae Adams with his time with Aaron Rodgers. Now, I don't know if anyone or you have seen the podcast he did with the Pivot. Like, he seems really, really motivated for this season because it's Ryan Clark's podcast, and he was bringing up the fact that on these top lists that everyone keeps, and the NFL 100 that comes out every single year, Devontae Adams is sliding down every year, and he came across like he was incredibly motivated and a really good fit for him in LA. So I think it's great. Opposite Puka is obviously going to get 1 million catches again, but feels a good fit to me, to be honest.
Yeah, same. And they did also re-sign Kyron Williams yesterday. I think 3 years,
Yeah, they did.
33 million, first running back they've re-signed since Todd Gurley. So the offense feels there's maybe reason not to believe. We'll come on in a minute. Declaring potential issue with one of the main parts of the offense, but the offense on paper to me looks really good with maybe one or two holes that we can talk about. So yeah, reasons not to believe in them. I'll go first, since I'm always the Rams backer. They've had a couple of key injuries, which I keep alluding to. So Matt Stafford, never good words to read. Your quarterback has to have had an epidural in the offseason. That's a slightly rough thing to read if you're a Rams fan. But the other injury as well is left tackle Alaric Jackson, blood clots. We're not sure what's going to happen there. They brought in DJ Humphries as a backup. Now, 2 years ago, he was good. On paper last year looked like a good signing for the Chiefs, but couldn't get healthy, couldn't play. Wasn't good enough to play in the Super Bowl. And obviously, everyone knows what happened to the left tackle in the Super Bowl. So I think for me, the left tackle position's a worry, and especially because Matt Stafford's already hurt. He does get banged up. When he looks his best, I think on his day in the NFC, he's probably the best quarterback. But can they get him his best with him being hurt already and the left tackle? So I think they are the main. There's a couple of others, but they're the main two reasons for me, mate. Is those two injury concerns just seem quite huge, to be honest, for this team.
Yeah, I mean, before we move on to mine, I think talking about Stafford, it feels like it's Stafford or nothing for the Rams, because if he's not there in the critical times of the season, I mean, we're going back to Jimmy G, and we've seen that. We've seen it in the playoffs. We've seen it in the Super Bowl. We don't want to see that ever again. So it's just, I really hope he can. It feels like he's close to the end of his career, health-wise. Obviously, he's getting up there in age anyway, but health-wise, he feels quite close to the end, I would say. It wouldn't have surprised me this off-season, because you remember that obviously the early off-season was trade talk about Stafford, wasn't it? And then moving somewhere else, and a retirement wouldn't have shocked me. But yeah, I really hope he can be healthy. It's not, like you said, epidurals during the off-season for your quarterback. It's not a great sign, is it? I am concerned about the left tackle, but I think you've got kind of plug and play there where you can get some serviceable play. But the Stafford thing is just crazy, to be honest. I really hope that he can. Obviously, it would benefit the Eagles if he wasn't there, but I don't really look at football like that. I just want everyone to kind of be healthy. But my reason was, I think the linebacking core is not good, and I just spoke about how much I love the defensive line. Don't mind the secondary and everything. However, any injuries to any top player on that Rams defense, you pick the top 5 players on that defense. Any injuries and what is behind there is not good. It's either not good or very young and late round picks. From round 5 onwards, or undrafted. If they make the roster. So for me, anything on the defensive line that comes through is really going to hamper them. I feel like the Rams, we're probably going to talk about it, who's going to win the division, who's not going to win the division later, but I feel like they could teeter from a Super Bowl to 6 wins if the injury bug is like really bad, and it feels like they may have the biggest swing in the whole of the NFL, to be honest with you, with their injuries.
Yeah, to me, they feel similar to last year and similar to the Bucks, where maybe the ideal scenario for them is they take they're not going to win 14 games, but they're going to win 10, and they're going to get in the playoffs. And when they're in the playoffs, they're healthy, and then if they're healthy in the playoffs, they can beat anybody. As we saw last year, they were. So you're an Eagles fan, so you can tell us, but to outsiders, they by far seemed the closest team to beating the Eagles. Do you know what I mean? It was like one drive away. It was a Jalen Carter sack away, basically, from them winning. So for me, I feel like they're the sort of team where they'll slow play it. Maybe 6 weeks in, we'll be a bit concerned. 7-8 weeks in, but then they'll go on that run like the Bucks did last year, get in the playoffs. And I think if you've got Stafford, Puka, Devontae, left tackle, right tackle, healthy in the playoffs, feels like McVay will cause some damage in the NFC. But yeah, you're right. They seem like they've got the biggest range of outcomes, I think, for some of the contenders in the NFC. I know you mentioned linebackers and like general depth, but yeah, cornerback is the worry for me. They were mentioned as a Jalen Ramsey team, couldn't pull it off. There's lots of veterans still out there, so maybe they'll sign one. They tend to do that, but I'm a little bit worried. I know they signed Emmanuel Forbes, didn't they, off off Washington's when they release him from Washington, but I'm not sure they've got 3 starters there. I think they've got 2. So we'll see what they do. We'll do as we've been doing, do the win total now, and we'll do who's going to win the division at the end. So their win total 9.5 will not surprise you to know. I've gone over 9.5. I think it'll be close. I would have to guess probably 11 wins is where I see them fitting in. But I'm going to go over 9.5 for the Rams.
Yeah, I'll join you. Just about. I think this division is going to be tight, which we're going to talk about. But it's a tough schedule, on paper. It starts tricky, to be honest. I mean, Houston and Philadelphia in the first 3 weeks is sandwiched with Tennessee in between, but it's just before they get onto their divisional schedule. Tough. Feels tough to me. Like the tough games are broken out throughout the schedule and not really bunched together. So it kind of does, if they get a big injury, kind of feels like they might need to get lucky with the schedule and how it falls. But I'll go over, but it's a tough schedule. That week 3 game with Philadelphia it's not a game I'm looking forward to be honest with you. I think that's feels like a revenge game, one of those.
It does. You never want Matthew Stafford in a revenge game. Feels like he's a psycho in a revenge game. So yeah, that's one. Hopefully you would have lost in week 2 or whenever it is, and then the week 2. Yeah, hopefully you lost in week 2 and then to the Rams in week 3, and there we go. But we'll see. Cool. Let's move on. Talk about the Seahawks then. A team with a lot more change than the Rams. In terms of players, obviously Sam Darnold's in a quarterback, which is a huge move. They got Cooper Kupp and MVS in to replace, the kind of old school veteran wide receivers they've had there for years, obviously in DK and Tyler Lockett. They also just recently released Noah Fant, and they've got I think it's Arroyo, how you say it, the tight end from Miami. Had some injury problems, but very good player in high school and his first year in college. They added Greg Zabel as well, offensive lineman, guard, in the first round. And on defense, they've added DeMarcus Lawrence to rush the pass from Dallas, which was a bit of a surprise signing. And then Nick Amamori on defense, player that everyone thought would go in the first round, but they got him in the second. Coaching changes. The biggest one is Clint Kubiak moving over from the Saints to be their offensive coordinator. They're kind of changing the whole offense around him and Sam Darnold to try and fit his skill set a little bit better, which will be quite similar to how Kyle Shanahan teams sort of play is the goal there with Kubiak. And their win total is 7.5, and their strength of schedule is 13th. So not bad strength of schedule. They're out of division opponents quite good from where they finished 3rd in the division. That's right, where they finished 2nd division last year. They got lucky with some of the other teams where they finished and got a slightly easier schedule. What do you think then? Interesting off-season. One of the teams probably the most change out of these teams in this division. Where are you sitting in terms of reasons to believe in this team?
Oh, well, I'm going to have to. I'll leave the offense over to you to lead that chat. You're going to have to with Sam Darnold knocking around, so we'll talk about that, I'm sure. But for me, Mike McDonald came in. Defense jumped from 30th to 14th overall in defense. They've added DeMarcus Lawrence. Already got a great secondary. For me, I'm hanging my hat on defense because I don't know what it is. Like, I look at the offensive roster and I think, okay, there's a lot to work with there. Obviously, they've got Clint Kubiak come in. There's a lot to work with on the offense. But for me, hanging your hat on defense, I love Tariq Woolen. I kind of really like Devin Weatherspoon. They got all these guys. They're going to have, it looks like Josh Jobe may start at cornerback as well. But got Julian Love in there, Kobe Bryant. I think it's a good secondary. I think adding DeMarcus Lawrence to the defensive line is great. You already got Leonard Williams there. Byron Murphy last year from Texas. He had a pretty good rookie season. For me, you're hanging your hat on that. He's a defensive coach. Building your organization back through your defense, for me, feels like the only way that this team is going to win the division. And by winning low-scoring games and not getting into any firefights with Los Angeles or the 49ers. To be honest, I can't see them be able to keep up on offense. But for me, hanging your hat on defense, huge jump in the first year. If you can get that jump from 14th to top 10 in the NFL, they'll have a really, really good defense to kind of build your foundations on there. So for me, it would be that.
Yeah, no, I'm the same. Defense was the first thing that I had written down. And also, I think, people smarter than me that I listen to, they have this as a top 5 unit potentially, right? I think the coach is incredible. Leonard Williams, player that underrated, can rush off the outside, off the inside. He'll play a lot of games for them. Byron Murphy, you mentioned. Obviously, DeMarcus Lawrence, a bit of a strange one. They probably overpaid for him at his age, but he's probably still going to be good for this season, at least. And then, secondary's really, really good. So I'm the same as you. I think the defense should be top 10, if not top 5. If you look at it from an NFC perspective, I think they'll be disappointed not to be top 5 in the NFC when it comes to defenses for this year. And I absolutely love Nick Amamori in college. Crazy athlete, freak. Fits this scheme quite well. They'll probably play him similar to how they played Kyle Hamilton in Baltimore as well. So, yeah, I'm with you. The main reason really does have to be defense. I do love the head coach, so I think the defense will be good. In terms of offense, the reason to believe is I think the scheme was quite bad last year. Ryan Grubb coming from Washington, I think, in college, he was kind of all spread it and throw, 5-man protection only. The offensive line wasn't very good. The run game wasn't very good. The downfield pass game was quite good, but a lot of it was on Geno Smith. So we'll talk about the pieces on offense and if they are better, maybe in a minute. But I think the scheme will be better. I think Zabel's a good player. I know he comes from a low level of competition, but him and Charles Cross on the left side should be good. I think the right side, if healthy, should be average at least. But I think it's more the scheme. They're going to play action it. They're going to run it. They're going to play the screen game. They're going to be more 49ers type offense. So I just think that will help the overall offense. I'm not sure the offense will have the highs it had with Geno, but I do think the offensive line should be able to play better in this scheme. And they got Kenneth Walker and Zach Charbonnet, right? And they signed that guy from Miami who everyone thought would go in the 4th round, and he went in the 7th.
Martinez,
Yeah. So they should be able to run the football. And I think the scheme will be better to help all those things. Now, I'm not sure the highs will be there when we talk about reasons not to believe, but it should be better because even though I like Geno, I think we were recording pods last year, weren't we, where, getting sacked all the time, getting hit all the time, they're hardly running the ball. They're down 10 points. It's mass panic and it's throw it 40 times. I feel like the scheme should be better this year, at least.
Yeah, I'm with you there. And if we can just roll that smoothly into my reason not to believe it was about the offensive line. But what you're saying is logical. If we can build it by the run game, and it's better doing it through that way, it's going to help Darnold, who is an awful taker of sacks. And this offensive line ranked in the bottom 3 in sacks allowed last season. That, for me, is a scary mix. Darnold takes really long sacks, but they always seem to be at really critical times. If you're going on 1st down or 3rd down, and it's like you're off the field now. All those bad sacks seem to come at that time. So for me, if you're building your scheme through a solid foundation of a run game, and then that's going to help Darnold. If you're not, and you're planning on dropping back 35 times a game, he's going to be on the move a lot, and he can be a really bad decision maker when he kind of does have to get on the move and kind of procreate from that way.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think for me, I had it written as the 3 key changes on offense, personnel-wise. I think that's the reason not to believe, and I think that's Geno to Sam. I think I was kind of higher on Sam than you were last year. No, you were pleasantly.
I was just waiting for the playoff game, and there he was. He appeared.
You were enjoying that. Cooper Kupp, the Rams love him. The Rams know him. If they're getting rid of him, to sign Devontae Adams for a more total cash, even if it's over less years, but that's a concern. And then obviously DK to MVS. I think DK is slightly overrated as a player, but he's obviously a lot better than MVS at going down the field. I think almost the offense they want to play would have been better if they'd have kept DK. Like that, the way they want to play makes a lot of sense. Play action. He's a good blocker. Sam Darnold's actually quite good at throwing the ball down the field. We saw that with the Vikings last year. He's not as good on the intermediate range. But for me, that is the reason. It's going from Geno, Tyler Lockett, and DK to MVS, Cooper Kupp, Sam Darnold. That's probably my reason. I will add, I hope Smith and Jigba becomes the guy. because I think he was great in college, played well last year in a weird offense. But if he's just designated to the slot again or the Z and he's getting 3 yards a catch, I'm not sure the offense will be good enough. But we'll see. Do you have any chance you'll be watching the playoff game? I might spoil it a little bit, but could you be watching a playoff game where you're cheering Sam Darnold's 4th sack and 2nd fumble or something of the day? Is that a realistic possibility for you?
Is it realistic? I think the NFC wildcard overall is going to be pretty tough this year. Their over-under feels very fair. However, I'm not going to pick it right this second until you kind of prompt us, but I could see them going over it by a couple of games. Listen, I did wait last season. I said Sam Darnold is going to come out, and he came out at the end of the season and then into the playoffs. I feel like that is who he is. He may be able to lead this team to 8 to 9 wins, but like you said, the talent level overall in the receiving corps has really come down. Smith and Jigba is going to have to do some really heavy lifting because I love Cooper Kupp, but we're not talking the same guy as 3 years ago. We know we're not. The miles on the tread, the injuries he's had. It's like you said, if the Rams are letting him go, and they love Cooper Kupp, they love him. They'd have had him there forever, but he just can't. His body just isn't there. So, and what he's behind, when MVS is your third, and then what's behind that is kind of like Jake Bobo or Torrey Orton from the 5th round. He scares me a little bit for that, to be honest. So if you said to me, do you think I'll see him in the playoffs? Likely not. Feels more likely that you wouldn't than you will.
Yeah, Torrey Horton's the one who's getting the buzz in camp.
Yeah.
But is that just because MVS is terrible and he's playing over him? It's hard to know, isn't it? Again, on paper, these players make sense together. It's just, is MVS good enough? Is Kupp healthy enough? And can Sam Darnold, play? If he plays as well as he did last year regular season, it'll be a good offense. It won't be a great offense because, Kevin O'Connell's not the head coach and Justin Jefferson's not your wide receiver, but it'll be a good offense. Let's do the win total that you mentioned then. I really struggled with this one. It was one of the hardest ones I've done so far, to be honest. I could have gone either way with it. And I put over 7.5. And as we've spoken, I'm like, oh, I feel like I should be going under here with the way I'm talking about it. But I have gone over 7.5. But I think it'll be close. I feel like a 6, 7, 8 win team to me. And I'll go that they scrape 8 wins with great head coaching.
Yeah. The thing is, for me, I'm hanging my hat on defense, and I do think they can take a little step forward as well. And it's just whether the offense can kind of keep up if you're getting into the mid-20s kind of in certain games. I'm going to go under. I do think, like what you said there, 6 to 8 wins seems fair. So I'm just going to risk it and go under. Off the bat, you've got Seahawks 49ers, by the way, which feels a very pivotal game early to see where both teams kind of at. This division feels quite mysterious in that kind of way where I'm not quite sure what I'm actually getting, apart from the Rams if Stafford is healthy.
Yeah, it does. It does. And it feels like if you look at the schedule, they've got some big games against fellow NFC teams across the board here where it could have a big impact on playoff seeding. But yeah, it's hard to know. Hard to know where they're going. Did you say you were going over? Sorry, I missed it.
No, I am going under.
Oh, we're going under. Sorry.
Yeah.
There we go. Sam Darnold hate reigns true again. On to our next team then. I can't believe I can't believe 49ers are last on this list. We're on to the Cardinals next. I was looking at key additions for the offseason, and I had to laugh because on offense, there is nothing. I had to scrape Jacoby Brissett as the backup quarterback on offense as the main addition.
Is that it?
If you look at the depth chart, look at the players that they've added on offense. It's not great. Every draft pick was on defense, wasn't it?
It was, yeah.
Yeah, it was mental. So yeah, on defense, they did add some good names. Calais Campbell, I think he was drafted by the Cardinals. He's back as a Cardinal. Dalvin Tomlinson as well, up the middle, former Brown. They got cut. Walter Nolan as well, bit injury prone, but high level defensive tackle out of the NFL draft. Josh Sweat was the big addition in free agency from the Eagles. And then Will Johnson as well, a player that dropped in the draft, but we both liked. Dropped for injury. He's in there at corner, so it's a hell of a lot of resource on defense. overall, it's the same kind of main staff in terms of play calling. However, they lost their offensive line coach, who I believe has gone to the Bucks, I think, or Lions. And he actually was the run game coordinator. So last year, this team ran the ball extremely well. He's the guy who does the run game. So normally I wouldn't really care about the offensive line coach, but I'd be interested to see if they still run it well. Their win total is 8.5. So it's higher than the Seahawks, which I thought was surprising. And their strength of schedule is basically the same as the Seahawks. It's 11th in the NFL. So there's only 10 teams with an easier schedule than the Cardinals this year. Interesting teammate. By far the most interesting for me in the four. Like, just don't know what the hell I'm getting. But in terms of reason to believe in them, I don't think they've had a good defense for years. Definitely since we've been doing the pod. On paper, this defense should be good. And I think if you're in this division, you need the defense to be good and you need the defense to stop the run. And I think on paper, the defense should be able to stop the run and should not be bad. I'm not sure it's going to be great, but it should be the best since we've been doing the pods. I think that's one reason that I had to believe, and then there's a couple more I'll go into. But what do you think about that? Does that align with any of yours?
Yeah, that was kind of my main one. Is what I liked about it is they've gone for instant impact, right? Most of these players that they've had, obviously you're talking about Walton Owen High, first rounder, Will Johnson, second rounder. Obviously, Will Johnson was an elite prospect, and 2 years ago, he was viewed as top 5. But you're talking Calais Campbell, Dalvin Tomlinson, Josh Webb, instant impact players that day one, your defense should be much better. So, do you know what? I really actually respect that that's what they've done. They've kind of spent the money. People, you can say, have you overpaid for this, that, and the other? They look at it as a total spend. Our defense is better day one. So I actually really, really like that. What I would say, right, is there a more mysterious team in the NFL than the Arizona Cardinals? Because do you remember last year when I came on and I was a bit down on them, and you were like, everybody is up on, and I was like, everyone's up on the Cardinals. And I was like, really? And it kind of finished 8 and 9, smack bang in the middle of where we both sat. And I was like, I don't know anything else about them still.
They beat the win total, though. That was the thing as well. They beat the win total, but you're right.
Yeah,
they were.
The win total. I feel like they're a mysterious team. I love what they've done on defense with instant impact. Division winning instant impact, by the way, if you can get your offense right, which is a whole big question in itself, right? I mean, we're going to talk about Kyler Murray, I'm sure, but he is another guy I feel like we learned so much about at the start of his career. For the last 3 years, you listen to any podcast, including ours, he is not a name that crops up a lot anymore. And he was a guy that was kind of looking top 10 at some point and huge contracts and just, whole mysterious team that really interesting, though. I think this team can win the division.
Yeah, and we spent a bit of time off, obviously, and then came into division preview. So we kind of didn't want to round up old news. But Kyler Murray was also mentioned in that scandal around the guaranteed contracts with the NFLPA because the owner was just like, oh, yeah, we managed to get out and giving him a guaranteed deal. We put this Call of Duty clause in his contract. And it feels like ever since that Call of Duty clause in this, you have to turn up to practice and they put in his contract, he had to study X amount of hours of film a week. It feels like since he did his ACL and then he signed that contract, everyone's just like, I'm not sure about this guy. It's almost like the press around him is actually worse than the play on the field. I think the play on the field is fine. It's good. It's not great, but it's fine. It's good. But everyone, like you said, everyone just doesn't talk about him anymore. It seems like a weird place. And their offensive coordinator, Drew Petzing, as well, is seen to be one of the next big guys in terms of offensive play callers going to be a head coach. And if you look at the stats, like I said, the offensive line coach did the run game as well. But the run game, first down, play action, red zone in the first half of the season, all the stats on offense were quite good. It's just, is that the offensive coordinator? Is that Kyler Murray? Because he started the season so well and he kind of tapered off towards the end. You're right. It's a weird place to be. And if you look at his contract, this is the year, by the way. If after this year they decide he's not the guy, we want to go back into the draft, this is the year where they could get rid of him. So it feels like a pretty big year for Kyler Murray. What's your general stance on the full 10 yards group chat? I tend to be the one defending Kyler Murray. I quite like him. I think he's good. He's not great, but I think he's good. I would have him over half the quarterbacks in the NFL probably. But most people don't agree.
Yeah, no, I'm erring on the side of you, and I would be very, very cautious if I was Arizona, unless he was horrific this season about dipping back into the draft and kind of then being irrelevant again, for 3 to 4 years. Because since we started the pod, these must be our least talked about team, to be honest with you. We've even spoke in depth several times about like the Carolina Panthers and things like that, where you see like irrelevant, but not Arizona. So I like him. Top 15, yeah, quickly off the top of my head, perhaps. I do like him. I do want him to improve, but really interesting team. Obviously, I have, as you know now, I don't watch any preseason NFL. I dip in and out of training camp. I concentrate on the Eagles as a fan. But when the Cardinals do pop up on my timeline, it's usually Marvin Harrison Jr. having to make an incredible catch just to get like an 8-yard gain in training camp. So it's just like, I don't know what to think. How much stock do I take in that? Because I'm not listening to any Cardinals beat writers or anything, but I have the hope and the wish that this is a good team. I do think that they can challenge for the division.
Yeah, you do seem a bit higher than them. I've got enough Trey McBride stock in fantasy football to keep me going. So
that's incredible. When he starts learning how to get in the catch it in the end zone as well, by the way, he's totally unstoppable.
Yeah, Marvin Harrison Jr. needs to learn how to get open, and he needs to learn to catch in their red zone, and they'll be good. Well, you do seem higher than on me, so reasons not to believe. I'll happily go first. The offense, like I said, on paper was quite good. Defense was terrible. They spent all their money on defense. I do think they should have done a little bit more on offense. I would have liked a right guard. I would have liked a left guard, one or the other. I would have liked a wide receiver 3, wide receiver 2. I'm not saying spend millions and millions and millions, just maybe 2 players on this offense because, yeah, the core is good. Marvin Harrison Jr., Paris Johnson, Jonah Williams at right tackle, Trey McBride, Kyler Murray, James Conner. Hopefully Trey Benson can get over his injuries and be good at running back. That's good. But then everything else, I'm like, below average. So for me, I just think even if the defense ends up being fine, I'm not quite sure the offense is good enough unless the OC is amazing and he schemes everything open and it's incredible and, he's the next guy, then fine. But on paper, I think they should have done a bit more. I think they cheaped out a bit on offense.
Yeah, I mean, you're not wrong there, to be honest. Mine is just the interior offensive line. I can't believe they didn't improve. And behind Marvin Harrison Jr., let's ignore McBride at tight end, just Michael Wilson, Greg Dortch, Zay Jones. There's just nothing there, really. Yeah, it's more of a hope that one of these guys is going to step up. Probably a Michael Wilson, his 3rd year in the NFL. But it's like, just do a little more, especially I think at the wide receiver spot. That would have added into that core would have been really useful, to be honest.
Yeah, no, great. You made a good point on the offensive line as well because Kyler's a small quarterback. He's, he does have to scramble around a lot already, and he gets injured a lot. So you would like to a little bit going back to. I feel like we do talk about this team too much now. You said it, but back to the Panthers. Small quarterback, not injury history like Kyler, but had some issues in his rookie year. Okay, let's make the interior line good. Let's create a bit of a wall as much as we can to not give up those immediate sacks after 1.5 seconds. And I'm a little bit worried this offense won't do that. But we'll see. Kyler did say it's the best his knees ever felt, this summer. It's 2 years since the ACL surgery. Feels like he can run around even more. So I'm sure we'll be seeing those red zone highlights of him just spinning around, and then remember that Raiders one? Was it a 2-point conversion or something? Let's send them to overtime. And left and right. Yeah, it feels like we'll get some of them moments, but like you said, I wish they had a bit more on offense. I hope Marvin Harrison Jr. has a good year, by the way, and there's a reason not to believe, but I hope he has a good year. Got a lot of stick last year, and he's still got like 9. I think got maybe 800 or 900 yards. Like fine, really good for a rookie, but because he's Marvin Harrison Jr., everyone thought he should have been getting 1,500 yards and being Jamar Chase. Yeah, so I'm hoping he's good.
He had neighbours and he had Brian Thomas Jr., the same, so it's like,
And Brock Bowers.
Yeah, we didn't expect him to be the kind of the third or fourth guy, after the first year. So I'd love to see him step up. I think the talent is there, to be honest.
He's huge now, though. Have you seen him photo of him?
Yeah.
He's big. He's big. I don't want to go American talk show and go, is he too big? But he is a big. He is a big unit. I feel like we might have a difference here. Then I know we were different on the Seahawks, but under over 8.5. I have gone under 8.5. I'm going 5 or 6 wins. I'm worried about this team. Sounds like you might be going the other way.
Well, the thing is, right, I'm just having a quick look at the early schedule. 5 or 6 wins. Now, they've got the Saints, who, by the way, look as advertised from our podcast about 3 weeks ago. That quarterback room is as advertised. Anyway, Saints, Panthers, Titans in the first 5 weeks, in between a couple of divisional games. You pick up a divisional win there, I think you're well on your way to going over. It's just, do I trust them? Because I'm thinking about winning the division. I'm thinking about if the Rams can stay healthy. If they can, and Stafford stays healthy, then they'll win the division. I do think that the Cardinals can challenge. I like the schedule. I'm going to go over. And I think it's close. They were 8 and 9 last year. I think you see the improvement on the defense of an improved straight away additions on defense that gets you that swing to a 9 and 8 or to a 10-7. I think they can do it.
I think Kylo, when he's playing on a good team, is quite cool and fun to watch. So it'll be entertaining because they're a good red zone team. They're not a Steelers red zone team. So
no, exactly. Yeah, they make the 9:25 UK time slots when there's only 3 games. They're always really interesting games.
Well, and they're on that window every bloody game is 9.
Yeah, exactly.
Actually, every game for them is actually 9:05.
Yeah,
it's never 9:25. It's always 9:05 for the Cardinals. But yeah, I'm gonna go under. But yeah, let's hope they're exciting because their fans have had a hard time over the last 3 years. Let's go on to a team then that definitely thinks they should be exciting. That is the 49ers. Big off season for them. On offense, it is a little bit, the same, I would say, as it always is in terms of player personnel. They got rid of Debo, and they brought in DeMarcus Robinson on offense, which sounds like a nothing thing, but he was good for the Rams last year, and he's used to the scheme coming from McVay. But defense is where they've spent most of their money and their assets. They've got Mikael Williams from Georgia in the first round, which is a pick I know that you loved. Alfred Collins was a pick in the second round, a big nose tackle from Texas. I think it was Texas, if I'm right. He's a guy that I really wanted for the Chiefs. He's amazing against the run. Bryce Huff as well has been added to this team to try and rush off the edge. And then Richie Grant as well, a player that played really well for the Falcons 2 years ago, not last year. He is there in the secondary to try and help out, and they signed a couple of other kind of cheap veterans to fill out the roster. The big news, though, is Salah is back as the DC. That is the biggest news for them, for sure. He's really the main coaching change. The rest is very similar. Obviously, Kyle Shanahan still calling the plays. Their strength of schedule is number 1. They have the easiest schedule in the entire NFL. Do you want to guess their win total, or have you seen the sheet?
No. I don't even know. I didn't even know that we used to open our sheets anymore, so I've definitely not had a look. 10. I want to say around the 10 mark.
Yeah, I thought you'd go under that. 10.5.
Yeah,
So
okay.
they've actually got the highest schedule. They're favoured to win this division. Sorry, the highest win total.
Yeah.
They're favoured to win the division. Again, a lot of that is the strength of schedule stuff that we just mentioned. So yeah, big year for Shanahan and the 49ers. They're obviously a rival of yours, mate, but let's go positive. What are your reasons to believe in them? Because it feels like it's been a very interesting offseason. We don't want to make the episode too long, so we don't talk about all the players they lose. They've had some really good additions, but some big losses as well for the team. Yeah, so where are you at? Reasons to believe?
Because I think for me, the elite level talent throughout the roster is all still there. Talking Trent Williams, CMC, Kittle. This all comes with a massive asterisk of health, though, by the way. But the elite level talent still there with those 3 guys. Purdy, much better than we all anticipated 3 years ago. defense, the addition of Salah with a healthy Nick Bosa and Fred Warner, who is, I mean, I've had a rivalry with the 49ers for a few years after I went to the game, of course, but I love Fred Warner. He's an absolute beast. Just that top level elite talent is as good as anyone has. If you add in, of course, obviously Shanahan and then Robert Saleh, for me, that is as good as it gets in the NFL in terms of top tier talent on your roster.
Yeah, completely agree. Big reason to believe in them. They're just a talented team at the top, like you said. I think, to be honest, and I do like Kyle Shanahan. I think maybe I'm not as high as some of him in terms of like, is he top 3 in the league? I'm not sure he is that as a head coach, but as a play caller, he's definitely top 3. And I think that mixed in with the top level talent, you're right. That's the reason to believe in them. The reason I actually had was one we've already mentioned, which was strength of schedule. This is number 1 easiest, and with a bullet as well. If you look at the actual, there's a graph maybe I'll post once we've done all the pods for anyone that wants to see it, or you can go to Warren Sharp's strength of schedule page. A lot of them are like between 10 and 20. All the teams are like right next to each other, but they're like way out as number 1s, by far the easiest. And again, if you just look at it, just Google their schedule, it's easy. Of course, the 2 Rams games are going to be difficult. Of course, the Cardinals road game is going to be difficult. Seahawks away is always a hard game. But if you look at the rest, like for me, it wasn't even the team and the roster. It was almost like, right, this schedule, they should get 8 wins just by turning up, it feels like at times. I'm actually getting to the point where I think maybe they could be that 11, 12 win team. But before the playoffs, we're all a bit like, I'm not sure. They could lose to a 9-win Vikings or a 9-win Washington team in the playoffs, it feels like. But yeah, for me, mate, it was what you said, but above that, even strength of schedule was just amazing.
You're right. Ignoring, I've got the schedule up now. Ignoring the division games, the best team on the 49ers schedule is on the road at Tampa Bay. If that is your juggernaut out of schedule game, then you are looking at double digits winning your division. You're not telling me that those guys, the GM, the coaches, don't sit in a room and say, we want the 1 seed. All
True.
our guys are back healthy. If we can keep CMC healthy, keep Kittle healthy, we want the 1 seed, right? Trent Williams is going to be there, 17 games this season. My God, these guys are there for me. If you don't win the division and you don't kind of go over on the win total, something bad's happened to San Francisco, right, this year, whether it's kind of all the defensive revamp is obviously there's a lot of rookies coming in, quite a lot of free agents there. Whether that just doesn't mesh under the kind of when Salah's back, not sure. Most likely is bad health, right? The worry of CMC for me is when he was out last year for San Francisco, they looked so run of the mill. And obviously, Purdy's play was obviously much worse without just having that valve there of CMC is just incredible, right? So it's, for me, it's just, what a schedule that is. I just look at it and think, I wish I had that schedule. I've booked my flights for the NFC Championship game right now.
Yeah, it is. Honestly, it is a hell of a schedule. In terms of on the field, last thing I want to mention before we go to other reasons not to believe. I do think the defensive line is very good. We just spoke about the Rams. I still like this unit. Mikael Williams, I loved him coming out of the draft, can play inside, outside. Kevin Givens is a player that could stop the run, something they couldn't do last year. Nick Bosa is obviously a good player. They've got Gross Matos. They always have that random edge rusher that failed everywhere else that turns into a good player. It feels like Salah will probably turn him into a good player. Alfred Collins, I've already mentioned, I love him. Bryce Huff was really good last time he played for Robert Saleh. So I think in terms of on the field, the other reason, I do think out of all the units, as a whole group, that's their strongest unit for me is the defensive line. I think it'll still be really good this year. In terms of reasons not to believe then, do we want to just talk about health for the rest of the pod? Like, is that?
Yes, we do. Right? That's the only thing. If I go back to my notes, Hell, you know what? All right, we'll talk about unit because that also includes health. But Brandon Ayuk, right,
Yep.
and Juwan Jennings are currently, we're not sure what's kind of Jennings a little bit more clear than Ayuk, but aside from that, if you go into the season missing those two guys, Ayuk's probably not going to start the season, is he at all? But there is not Ricky Pearsall. I don't feel like we saw a first round talent with him last year, but I don't think it's like a lost cause or anything. I expect him to have a much better season. Kind of forget he snuck in at the end of the first round last year, but
And he got shot as well.
yeah, yeah, he got shot. Yeah, let's not forget about that. Yeah, for me, if you wanted to bring something up, it would be the wide receivers as a part of the health overall. It would worry me if it was Pearsall, Demarcus Robinson, Jacob Cowing as your top three guys, and Kittle and CMC are doing some heavy lifting, aren't they? Which they can do, of course.
Yeah, but even their injury, Kittle was healthy last season, but he's a bit injury prone.
Yeah,
CMC, Garendo got injured last year. Ayuk's obviously hurt. Juwan Jennings has strained the same calf twice this offseason and is asked to be traded. Now, I don't think he will get traded, but double calf injury already. Anyone who just watched the NBA this year knows what calf injuries can just lead to absolute disasters. Kyle Juszczyk's obviously back again. He had some time down last year, so health is a big part, and I think that room is important. For me, ignoring health, which is their main issue, I'm not sure about the secondary. So again, camp's going on, things can change. At the moment, for our lads depth chart, Ronaldo Green, one corner. Jair Brown will start, him or Richie Graham will start at safety. I don't mind Richie Graham, but he got released by the Falcons. Jason Pinnock or Malik Mustafa will play the other safety. Mustafa's been hurt all off season. Lenore's a good player. He'll be the other outside corner. But no Travarius Ward anymore. And then at nickel, they're going to play a third rounder, Upton Stout, who I didn't even know, and I scouted 120 players this year. Trey Brown from Seattle, who got cut by them. And then Lucas Chase, who was a special teamer for Detroit. It feels like a lot of the teams they play will want to run the ball. But if you want to drop back and you've got a good offensive line, I think you could throw for 350 yards on that secondary. I think in the playoffs, all the good teams are going to be like, right, okay, let's stop running it as much against the 49ers. Because if we just pass it, we don't think they can keep up. That's my view. I think the secondary is quite bad.
Yeah, the quick passing game, because obviously you've got a powerful defensive front, haven't you? You can kind of get out there on the edges. It could be quite dangerous. I don't feel like what you've said is nitpicking at all. The talent overall and the roster's huge. The talent in the secondary is not as big, is it? I mean, if you're dragging out Eli Apple is an interesting player, especially where he always seems to be very relevant in January. Somehow, Eli Apple. But, we'll see.
And he's always on a roster as well. Always on a roster.
Is, absolutely, yeah.
Any more to say about the 49ers before we do win total?
I hope CMC can stay healthy. The scary injury news last season, really, where he's flying over to Europe for kind of stem cell issues in his knees and his legs and things like that. So one of the most exciting and running backs in the NFL, right? You just kind of want that level of player to go forward. And let's talk about Brock Purdy this offseason, by the way. We've barely spoke about him. I watch CBS and ESPN all the time, and just the talking heads aren't even bringing him up anymore. So he's kind of moved into that next stage of his NFL career now, right?
Yeah, he has, yeah. And he got the deal he wanted after being, $200,000 a year paid, which is great money for the average person. But for an NFL quarterback, $200,000 a year is quite light. And now he's up to what?
For the amount of work he puts in, it's probably $10 an hour it works out to.
Yeah, true. Yeah, with all the film study and stuff. And now we can debate probably in like 10 weeks if they're the one seed. Is he better than Jalen Hurts, which would be an exciting debate we get to have on the pod, which I'm looking forward to. But yeah, let's go win total then. I wanted to go under because I'm not sure I wanted 3 overs in this division. I think I might have made a Seahawks mistake. We don't go back. We stick to our guns. So I'm going over just because I'm staring at the schedule, same as you. And I think it'll be close, though. I don't think they'll win 13, 14, 15 games. So I do think the secondary will mean some random quarterback. Like Baker Mayfield might throw for 400 yards in that game that you were talking about. So yeah, I'll go over 10.5. I think it'll be tight.
Yeah, I'm going over as well, just based on, I'm going to base it on they're going to be healthy and the schedule is so nice. I also have 3 overs, by the way, which is going to be interesting now when we come to pick some playoff teams in a minute.
Yeah, true. Very true. And let's do that now then. So let's go division order first, and then we'll go playoff teams. Anyone listening to the pod knows who I'm picking, so it's more fun if you go first. Who are you picking to win the NFC West?
Win the division. I'm going to go San Francisco. I think they're going to get 11, 12 wins. I think that's enough to win the division. Schedule's amazing. I think it's all going to kind of, let's hope it all for them, it works out in the wide receiver room. Having Robert Saleh back for me is just one of the moves of the offseason, to be honest. So give me the 49ers on top. I'd love to renew that rivalry in January, by the way. That'll be.
Could be in Santa Clara, though. Would you travel there? Would you go there? Watch a game?
It was -15 when I went to Philadelphia this January. Yeah, I definitely would.
It'd be much nicer there. A bit more expensive for a drink, though. But
yeah, you definitely would. Yeah,
yeah, but you'd be right. No surprise. I've gone for the Rams to win the division. I do need Stafford to be healthy. My phone is buzzing next to me that does say from Pro Football Talk that he's going to practice in the coming days. That makes me feel a bit better. But yeah, I'm going to go for the Rams. I think the defense is, the second best defense in this league, in this division. I think the offense will be the best in this division. And it will come down to what it does always in the NFC West is, does McVay beat Shanahan twice? Does Shanahan end up beating McVay twice? It feels like it will come down to those 2 games probably. But I'm going to go for the Rams in first. And I am going to go for the 49ers in second. I think, like I said, they'll win probably 10 or 11 games. I think Rams will probably win 11 or 12 if health permits for both teams. So I'm going to go for Rams first, 49ers second. Who are you going for second place?
Yeah, we're swapping over, to be honest. And I'm going Rams 2. You don't want to see them coming in January if they've got some health as a wild card team. That is really, as Philadelphia found out when I was there, that was a tough out, and that was the Eagles' hardest game of the playoffs where they could have easily lost. So yeah, I think it'll be close. Just the 49ers schedule pips it for me.
If they'd have won that game, the Chiefs would have won 3 Super Bowls in a row. That haunts me to this game that Jalen Carter comes through and sacks him when he's just about to throw a touchdown, Matt Stafford. I think, by the way, we're going to have our first division where we go all different positions because I'm going Seahawks in third, and I think from your under-overs, you're not. So I'm going to go Seahawks third, Cardinals fourth. Are you going the other way around?
I am indeed, yeah. I think touching on Seattle first, Sam Darnold, the rest of the offense. I spoke about how much I love the defense, but I just don't think that the offense is going to be good at all. So,
who has more wins, the Seahawks or the Raiders this year?
What a great question! That I went over. I'm sure I went over on the Raiders, so it'd be close. Let's go the Raiders. Let's ride, yeah.
Tom Brady's Raiders. Also, great documentary. Him Birmingham City one is hilarious. If you haven't watched that yet,
I actually really enjoyed it. The discourse online is strange, but I think that's from a lot of football fans who are not fans of American sports. So
yeah, it is. Yeah, him talking about Wayne Rooney is enjoyable.
Very, yeah, great.
Man United. Cool. Let's round it off with playoff teams then. I've gone for 2 playoff teams, by the way. I've gone for 2. Which I think means for me, I've gone 3 across the 2 NFC divisions we've done so far, across the South and the West. So yeah, I've gone for Rams and 49ers for me.
Yeah, I'm joining you on that, to be honest. 2 feels like a safe number. One of these divisions could end up having 3. I think there's some strong divisions this year, and the wild card race will be really, really interesting and tight, but I'll go 2. Feels safe. I don't think Arizona quite make it, but I think they'll be relevant come the end of the season.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, you're right. There are some strong divisions. It's a perfect year for someone to pick 2 AFC South teams to go to the playoffs in the first episode. So they're
The
not skinny.
Juggernaut division.
Exactly. I listened to a pod the other day where it was described as the worst division again. And I'm like, why did I pick two teams? But there we go. That's a past and future Liam problem. But that's it for today's pod, wrapping up the NFC West. We're now on to the north part of the compass for the next two episodes. We'll be releasing the AFC North first, which will be relatively soon from when you're listening to this. And then late next week, there'll be the NFC North as well. And then we're into the Easts, with, of course, our Super Bowl champion and our future Super Bowl champion, Drake May, one day before Josh Allen. But there we go. Thanks for listening, everyone. Remember to go follow us on Twitter/X at Go42Pod. Follow us at YouTube as well. These videos do go up visually now, so you get to watch Patrick's reaction when I pick Jaguars to win a division. And then follow Patrick as well at Mugs NFL to get all your NFL related gear. I'm sure there's some people that follow both of us that's going on American trips this year that would like a jumper or a hoodie as they're stood in like minus 20 watching their team in the regular season. So yeah, enjoy the week, everyone, and we will speak to you guys soon.
Speak to you soon, everyone.